So by the end of this video, you're gonna hear me say confidence at least a million times. Don't count. Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Hayles and I am a founder, content creator, and a Googler. Yes, all three of those things at the same time. At the core of who I am is a first-generation Caribbean woman. And yes, that shapes the food I eat and the music I listen to, but it's so much deeper than that. The fact that my mom moved here in her 20s by herself and is extremely successful now just lets me know that I have no choice but to be great. And through my own self-journey and just looking at my mom, I've realized that confidence is at the core of success. I've realized that my purpose here on this earth is to define confidence on my own terms. Figure out what confidence means to me. And that's exactly what I do in each stage of my professional life. I help people figure out, as a founder of Hayles Consulting, how to break down barriers within the career field. And a lot of those could just be knocked down by having confidence in yourself. And that's what I discovered throughout my own journey. Even with my full-time job at Google, I've been working there for 5 years and I've grown significantly, advocating for myself, promoting myself. When I first started at Google, I was so afraid to even ask a question. And now I'm at a place where it's like people are asking me questions. Confidence is definitely a journey. It is not an overnight mechanism or a thought of frame of mind, but the reality of it is that it's at the core of everything. And I stress that with everyone in my life. What I want people to know about me is that when you see me on my Instagram and on my YouTube channel or even out in life, I get compliments all the time about how confident I am, how I walk through the world with my head held high. But if you knew me 6 or 7 years ago, I was a completely different person. I've been on this journey myself, so I can look at people and understand and have grace for those who are struggling with it themselves, because I did too. Who you see here today has not always been like this. And where I've gotten to now is just through work, lots of self-work, lots of self-awareness, and also just choosing this version of me every day. So by the end of this video, you're gonna hear me say confidence at least a million times. Don't count, because I'm exaggerating, because that's what I do. So the interesting thing about me is that even though I wasn't always confident in my abilities or my looks or my talents, I've always had this nature of nothing is above me. There's no company above me. There's no industry above me. There's no job above me. Like, if I have the qualifications, I'm gonna apply. And because of that, I was able to land internships not only at Google, but also at Rolls-Royce in the beginning of my career. And those two companies and positions and internships really kicked off the success of my career, because they were both two incredible programs that present very well on a resume, so companies are automatically interested in what I had to bring to the table. I applied to 80 internships my sophomore year, and then again, the same amount of internships my junior year. In both years, I only heard back from one. I know a lot of people would look at those two companies and be like, let me not even waste my time because there's no way I'm getting this. But one thing I never, ever did was think a company was too good for me. Why can't it be me? Let me do it. And so the advice I would give you is, here comes that confidence thing again. You have to create a professional brand that you feel confident in. Get that resume up to date. Get your LinkedIn profile up to date, so that when you apply to these companies, even though you may not have a strong sense of self yet, you know that you're presenting yourself in the most professional, most confident manner. Try to go hop on LinkedIn and find people who work there, people who have interned there. People on YouTube talk about their experiences all the time working at these companies. Literally reach out to them on LinkedIn. They answer. People have reached out to me. I answer. So I know they're answering. And if you're still in school, you have the greatest advantage of having career counselors, career centers on your campus full of people whose jobs are literally to help you get a job. And that's exactly who told me about the Google internship to apply, and I did. And now here I am. And so this idea of not thinking any company above you goes along with my true definition of success. My success is truly coming from me not fearing rejection and just having full confidence in myself. And I think that honestly comes from me just looking at my mom and seeing her go after everything that she has accomplished. So even if you don't have an example of that person in your life, you be that example for yourself and be that example for the next generation. And I think the most fascinating thing about being a career coach is that I get to see people's progress where they didn't have a support system either, and they didn't have a role model, but they became their own support system and they became their own role model. And they've achieved a level of success that they could have never even imagined for themselves by just choosing them. You gotta find that spark within yourself. Now, I get asked all the time how I started my career in tech because tech is tough. My journey started with my internship, as I had stated before. So I made it a really easy transition to get into a full-time job at Google. When I was first starting my career in tech and internships, LinkedIn was just becoming a hub for networking and learning more about companies and people who work there. It wasn't that saturated yet. So I was reaching out to people who I probably wouldn't have as much access to now on LinkedIn, which was awesome though, because there were so many roles and opportunities. And like I had said before, I applied to 80 internships on LinkedIn and many other resources as well. And I only heard back from one, which was phenomenal, but it was a lot. And what I always remind people is that the tech industry is extremely competitive. And it's not just competitive to get in, but it's also competitive once you get there. So it's easy to start getting imposter syndrome. And as a Black woman, that is especially true. And one of the biggest pieces of advice that I have for Black women is what comes very naturally to us is this thing called Black girl magic, where we are really good at anything we put our minds to. And because sometimes things come so naturally to us, it can be easy for us to forget how difficult that task actually was. So my biggest career advice to Black women in tech and Black women in general is to never stop advocating for yourself, never stop promoting yourself, and stop making it seem like it is so easy for you to do something. Like, talk about the complexity of what you just did. And this need for knowing how to promote yourself and advocate for yourself is one of the main reasons why I started my career consulting business. And not even just doing that for yourself, but specifically within the Gen Z and millennial market, there weren't a lot of people speaking to us because they didn't look like us. They weren't from our generation, and they're speaking from their own generation, which is great and extremely helpful, but things are a lot different now. Because at the end of the day, it's not always who's best at the job physically. Sometimes it's just who is able to tell their story in the most concise, confident manner. And that's what Hayles Consulting is about. So when you're ready to ask for a raise and ask for a promotion, you need to know and understand exactly that. You need to be confident and explaining in detail what you bring to the table. And one of the biggest things that people tend to forget as soon as they start a job, or also when they start looking for a promotion, is the fact of how important relationships are. The second you start a job, you need to be considering having a great relationship with your manager, your manager's manager, your team, because they ultimately make the decision at the end of the day. And even if you're at a point in your career where you're like, I am not looking for a promotion or a raise, please get me out of this job as soon as possible, and you're looking for your next opportunity, your network is your net worth. I personally found throughout my career the easiest way to network have been through LinkedIn and also through YouTube. I love going on LinkedIn and thinking about where do I see myself being next? What am I interested in? What roles do I want to work at? What companies do I want to work at? And literally searching for those people online. And I do try to find a connection point between myself and them, whether it's our interest or the school that we went to, or just honestly anything, clubs that we're a part of, because it just makes a really easy intro conversation. One thing I will say, when you are ready to reach out to somebody on LinkedIn and message them, keep it short, keep it concise, and when you're having that conversation with them, ask them for career advice. Like I said, I found a Google internship on LinkedIn. But I just knew at that time, even at that time, I was like, I should not just be applying to this job. I probably should do some research and try to connect with people first. But Google at one point was my wildest dream, and my wildest dream has come true. What's the craziest dream that you have? I want you to know that not only is that attainable, but it's actually possible. Go after it.